welcome back. You're still watching Deep Dive, and I'm seated here with a broadcaster. Now, I know you have hosted a lot of politicians. They've passed through your show, whether young or old. In your opinion, what really is the problem when you listen to how they speak about matters in Ghana and how they speak politically? What do you think really is the problem?
I think the answer is pretty straightforward. The problem is that we lack, enforcement powers. So it's a systemic failure. I think that's sums it all up. It's a systemic failure. There's a systemic failure in the sense that nothing bars the politician from engaging in corruption, because if the politician engages in corruption, the system, is designed such that they're actually praised for it, because the system is so corrupted that even when they want to go into office, or they want to become members of parliament, or they want to assume any political office, they have to pay for it. So it's a cyclical deficiency, which has been deliberately created just to continue to milk, the country. Which is why I think in my earlier submission, I indicated to you that politicians, when they are in opposition, are able to identify all the challenges. But when they get into office, they are not able to identify the challenges. The question is why? Why? Because the system does not function properly. There's a breakdown of the system, because the young people are failing to demand proper accountability from the people. Let me tell you something. When they say government is of the people, for the people, and by the people, it is not just mere words. It connotes a certain involvement in the process by the people. So if you are the people and you fail in your responsibility to ensure that you involve yourself actively in the processes that define and shapes your future, you are the one who will suffer the brunt. Mm-hmm. So politicians, we must put the feet of politicians to the fire of accountability. Once we are able to put the feet of politicians to the fire of accountability, they will have no choice but to ensure that they do things that will inure to the benefit of the good people of this nation. Politicians must be punished if we have to punish them. Okay. Politicians must be sacked from office if they are failing, the people. It is not enough that political parties are so confident because they know that they're going to get the 8-year term. That's what we always say, we have to wait. This person has come to chop small, so let me also come and chop small. Mm-hmm. We need to change that narrative. Okay. We need to change the narrative where if MPP were in power today, they will be able to employ competent Ghanaians who are seen to be NDC, because it is the Ghanaian agenda. So politicians, in your estimation, are not truthful or very deceptive because of the kind of system that we have. Which system we have allowed to operate without, necessarily finding solutions to the deficiency that there exists in that system.
Okay. Do you think that the reticence of the youth when it comes to demanding for accountability has been long overdue?
Yes, precisely so. I mean, if you look at the historical antecedents of the growth of our dear nation, Ghana, I mean, most of the people, or majority of the people who were able to change the narrative were within the youth bracket. Look how Kwame was a young man, J.J. Rawlings was a young man, former President Kufuor was a young man, and a lot more people were young people because they needed for their future to be shaped. What do we hold dear? We continue to tickle ourselves and laugh and say that, we live in a peaceful country. But it's only a matter of time. The peace is not as a result of something that has been done by government. It's as a result of the people's commitment to ensure that we continue to stay in peace. But the people's commitment is also predicated on how the system treats them. Yeah. So if the system treats them well, then they will continue to ensure that the peace, the stability, the tranquility that we are enjoying continues to be the same. But if you fail them, they have no choice than to resort to other things that will give them some means of survival. And that is what we need to look at. So the youth have an active role to play to ensure that development is brought and stability is also achieved. Very crucial. But better late than never, like they say. I mean, now the young people in this nation, we have found our voices. And I'm happy that we found our voice. And I'm happy that even people who are within the MPP, are saying, fix the country now. And people who are in the NDC are saying, fix the country now. People who are apolitical are saying, fix the country now. So it's a concerted attempt to fix the variety of challenges that confront the good people of Ghana. And I'm happy about it. I'm confident that going into the future, a lot more young people will spring up and to take the mantle of the Ghana agenda, like you rightly put it, and ensure that they become the torchbearers of the change that they want to see.
Okay, and where do we put the young people who have been able to be put into positions to help the youth or, push our agenda there, but they are also following the footstep of people that we see are clearly not helping the nation?
Yeah, that's why I said that there's a systemic deficiency. I mean, the political system is such that we have what we call the godfatherism, okay? So who is your godfather? What kind of allegiance do you have for the godfather? I mean, if you owe a certain level of allegiance to your godfather, then you must necessarily toe the line of your godfather. And so they are measured. Political parties that you see like that, they are strong pillars. They are founding fathers of political parties, and you necessarily must ensure that you advance their cause. Failure to do that would mean that you will not play actively in the governance structure. So it's very disappointing, to say the least. But I think that with the kind of spark that the young people have now, that may change. They will put into public places and parastatal institutions people who hold dear, the integrity, people who hold dear the nationalism, people who hold dear the fight and the commitment of our forebears, and people who hold dear the development agenda that we must see in this nation. They must necessarily put those people into power, into places of authority. But I'm very certain that will happen soon, and that system will change. Change, they say, starts with you. Like I said, there's nothing like a perfect picture. You take several bad pictures before you get the right one, right? Yeah. So we would definitely have some bad nuts in the system, but certainly we'll get the perfect picture.
Okay, let's advance in the conversation. The creative arts industry has been separated from the tourism, and now we have the deputy minister. In your opinion, how imperative was that separation?
I don't know whether it was an imperative or not. I'm not in the mind of government to be able to appreciate why the division. However, I believe that tourism in itself is a milking cow. Tourism in itself should be a bankroller. We should be able to generate a lot of revenues from tourism. If you go to countries like Rwanda, Singapore, and a few others, even in Dubai, they generate a lot of revenue from tourism. However, over the years, we have not been able to take advantage of tourism to generate and rake in a lot of income for us to be able to support our budgets in this nation. And so I'm happy. Perhaps the division would mean a certain level of concentration. We'll focus on specific institutions. We'll focus on specific agencies to ensure that they deliver on their mandate. It also means that the creative art, at least, will see a certain level of change and development if we are serious about it. I mean, I know Marco Krekomante is there. He has been in the game for a long time. I don't have any reason to question his credibility or his ability to deliver on his mandate. I think he demands and requires all our support, and which we must offer. We must lend that hand of support to him to ensure that he succeeds. Because if he succeeds, what it means is that when the creative arts sector expands, okay, there will be a lot more jobs created. I know a lot of people who would have perhaps still been in the music industry, like myself, if the industry was paying enough. I'm not sure. Perhaps I would have obviously done other things because I've always wanted to be a lawyer, but if it was paying enough, I'm sure I'd have done that for a while before eventually maybe bowing out and venturing into other areas. But it's good news. For me, it's good news. I think we'll focus a lot more on these two separate cash cows or milking cows or bank rollers to be able to generate, some revenues for the nation, so that we can, develop in different sectors and get the development that we're looking for.
Okay, you have been an entertainer before, and now you are a political strategist. You are part of the political. I want to know. This is very important to the creative arts people. How do the politicians see creative arts people?
That's a very tricky question.
Because let me case
Oh,
the
is
point.
Owusu Bempah?
Yes, let me case.
That's a very tricky. I think Owusu Bempah is bereft of understanding of the whole creative arts sector. I don't want to fault him because perhaps he's not taking time to appreciate and understand the creative arts sector. How people perceive you is how they would perceive you, irrespective of how you conduct yourself or not. But I would say it's a bit disappointing that people perceive creative arts, personnels or personalities as people who are not serious. I think that's the general consensus out there within the political space, that that creative arts people are not serious people. They are not endearing people and things like that. They are not people who are forward-looking and things like that. I think that's very disrespectful. I think that's very condescending. I think that's a low blow. Look, development is not done or cannot be achieved, as a result of one person's effort. It's a concerted effort. It's a conglomerative attempt that we must all put together to ensure that development is achieved. And one sector cannot bring about development. Different sectors play key roles. I mean, if you look at Nigeria, for instance, I think that at one point their GDP was the highest in Africa. And their GDP was the highest in Africa because of the significant contribution of the entertainment industry. I mean, their movie industry was booming, their music industry was booming. And so that brought about that significant improvement in the economic fortunes of Nigeria. Now, if you take a cursory look at Nigeria again, who are the people selling their country? The Wizkids, actually Wizkids, I love them. The Davidos,
the Burna Boys,
the Burna Boys, and those are the guys who are putting the country Nigeria on the map. Even though Nigeria has a population of over 200 million people, has the highest GDP in Africa, etc. So the creative art industry is a very crucial and critical sector, which ought to gain that traction and which ought to be given that attention in order that we'll be able to, generate revenues and also be able to create a lot of jobs for the people. It's quite sad that somebody would have this primeval perception about the creative arts sector.
Okay, but you think the creative arts, those of us in the space, have we harnessed that power? Or, because every 4 years we know our problems, but we keep rallying behind these politicians, and afterwards, now we speak about the same system that they involved us in to probably win, and then they tell us that we are probably misfits. Do you think we haven't harnessed our power?
It's a matter of survival.
Okay.
When the system begins to function properly, I think that everybody will be well placed to make an informed decision as to what is good or bad. If the system continues to stifle you, if the system continues to deprive you of your basic amenities, if the system continues to deprive you of your basic salary, etc., I think that you are choiceless, to say the least, to make an informed decision. What you need to do is to support one political party if you are very confident and hopeful that they are going to win power so that you can also make some money. Now, I don't think that we've not been able to, the creative arts people have not been able to harness their potential. I think that they have harnessed their potential to the best of their ability. But we need governmental support to be able to fully harness it. And that would mean that structures ought to be created. We need to put people who are fit for the job and who can deliver, so that we'll see some light shine on the creative arts sector.
Okay, so this is deep dive. We just have to dive a little bit into you. We've spoken about politics and everything, But we've left out. Let's just do 2 minutes of you. At what point did you feel like, let me put music aside and focus on other matters?
I put music aside when it got to a point where it became a bread and butter issue for me. That I needed to survive. Music was no longer paying. And you know, the problems or the challenges that we face as musicians or as creative artists. I mean, if you don't get shows to play, you're going to go home hungry. You know, and I already had a degree before I started music. Just that I had some passion for it, and so I decided to just stay in that space for a while. So it got to a point, it was bread and butter issues for me. I needed to think or rethink and redesign and realign myself to be able to take on another daunting task. I mean, I had always wanted to become a lawyer, even when I was in Achimasafo. You know, and right to K University, I had always wanted to be a lawyer. So when the opportunity presented itself, and I was asked the question, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to go back to school and go and read my LLB and further it, and you do several other things. And then, you know, I just decided to take that advantage as well. That opportunity as well. Of course, it's an advantage, so yeah, I took that advantage from that opportunity. You know, I was able to change my life. But look, significantly, what ultimately changed the path for me was the people that I met along the line. They were very significant in my growth. My wife is number one, and she is a go-getter, so she pushed me. You know, and along the line, I also met a few guys who also very much supported. There's one guy who owns a TV station called Capital TV. His name is Chairman Ben. He gave me an opportunity to host the morning show on Capital TV. And then another gentleman who supported me a lot, Sadiq Adams, I'm sure you know him, the CEO of 3 Music. Yeah, he was producing the morning show on Viasat 1 at the time. Then I just approached him. I said, look, I want to be on the morning show. I want to come and talk about things that, you know, are of great relevance to the development of our dear nation, Ghana. He gave me that opportunity. And so I started appearing on Viasat 1 morning show with the same Owusu Danso.
Oh.
Yes. So he was my co-panelist on Viasat 1 at the time. Okay. And then fast forward, people like nanayao18.com was very instrumental. I mean, we had a conversation. She said, look, I have a project that I'm embarking on with one Jerry. It's called X Life. We interview entrepreneurs, etc. We put our heads together. We made that a success story. You know, so we moved from there. Met Samuel Atobiba, great guy. Gave me his platform as well to excel. I mean, these are but a lot of the people who gave me a listening ear and an opportunity when the road was a little bleak for me. But ultimately, I used that as also a springboard to be able to get to the point where now I'm confident that I've been able to achieve a certain feat, which feat I will use as a catapult to the next stage in my life.
Okay. 2 of the names you mentioned have also propelled me sitting here today with you.
Also, nanayao18.com.
Yes, and Samuel Atobiba.
Right. Great guys. Amazing guys.
Okay, so then with the door being opened for you by people, do you also open doors for people?
I have several guys here at Pan African Television who were no presenters, who had no experience, you know, but now they are one of the, a few of the talked about TV presenters in Ghana. Justice Appiah, for instance, hit me up on Facebook in my DM and then said, look, I want to do this. I said, okay, come, let's see. He came. It wasn't that good, but we built his confidence, we built him up, and he's here. Just Ivan Barnes, he's also here. Several of the ladies that you see on TV, by the grace of God, you know, also came through me and my wife, Amma Pratt. I mean, we are in that business. But most importantly, I believe that we need to be very deliberate about building the young people, which is why I initiated the Kwame Inspires project. The project ultimately was to visit senior high schools across the country to encourage the young people to take up daunting challenges and daunting tasks, and to be able to do and build themselves, I mean, to the point where they will be confident that they can survive in this heated system. That, you know, obviously is a success story. And then I also started another project. It's called Future Today campaign. I believe that the future of the young people is not in tomorrow, it's in today. Because what you build today is what you're going to live on tomorrow. So if you're a young person and an opportunity is presented to you today, you take advantage of that and you use that to build yourself to the next stage of your life. And that has also become a household project. It's been a success story. We had to pause because of coronavirus. Otherwise, would have been, going on with the project. And I'm also part of Obasima Summit. I'm actually behind my wife to be able to successfully execute that project. So we're doing a lot more to build the confidence of the young people and to let them believe in themselves and to know that it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter the level of education you have, it doesn't matter your social status or class. Everything is possible if you put your mind to it and if you are deliberate about it and if you take very strong decisions in your mind that you want to achieve something. You will definitely achieve that.
Thank you so much, and I have to say thank you on behalf of all the people that didn't have the experience and maybe the wherewithal, but then you gave them the opportunity. I want to say thank you, and please, what I'm taking away is daunting. No shortcut to heaven. Daunting task. Please, psych up your minds, and then let's see what the future holds for us. Thank you so much for coming on the deep dive, and I appreciate your time.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very kindly for having me.
You're welcome.
OnePlay. Add class to your music.